Hello, my name is Sarah Dudek, and you might know me as Sarah Dudek Stitches on Instagram or Ravelry or on my website. And I am super passionate about sustainable fashion and making crochet patterns that you really want to wear. And today I'm here to talk about the Crochet Pants pattern that I just released. Crochet Pants 3 Ways is what I called it. And I'm pretty excited about it. I've made a lot of these pairs of pants. So I am gonna tell you all about how it's constructed, how you can make it in 3 different ways, how to alter it to fit your body a little bit better, and also some hacks for different ways that you can take this pants pattern. Even though I give you instructions for 3 ways to make it, you can really do infinite kinds of pants with these. So let's go through them. Okay, first let's talk about construction. I'm gonna use this gold pair that I just finished to talk about pattern construction. So first off, this uses I used size 3 curio crochet thread for most of these, which I'm so sorry to say has just been discontinued. I am heartbroken. I use this yarn all the time, but I will say that if you like the brand Skepius, also in my head I've been saying Sheep Jess, but I think Skepius is how you actually say it. They have a yarn called Katona, which is an excellent substitute. It has a really good, very similar gauge, very similar yarn structure, very similar drape, and it actually comes in even more colors than Curio did. And you have to buy more skeins of yarn, but it's about the same price as Curio was, so it's a good sub. I'm gonna get a whole bunch of Katona and keep making these. But anyways, so you start off with a foundation single crochet that will end up going around your waist. You can also start off with a foundation chain. I like foundation stitches over chains because it has a little bit more stretch to it, but since this is going around your waist and there's a zipper, maybe that starting chain is what you want to have a little bit less give. But I start with a foundation single crochet, and then you work just a bunch of rows back and forth, and what that becomes is your drawstring encasing. You're gonna fold that over and seam it at the end. Then, after you make the drawstring encasing rows back and forth, you're going to make some short rows. So I don't know if you can see this short rows in here. Why do we make short rows? Well, for most of us, definitely for me, your back side is a little bit curvier than your front side. So what this does is it gives a little bit of kind of roundedness to the fabric so that it can curve over your behinds. So to make the short rows, I slip stitched along here until the first short row started. Now, if you don't like slips, I slip stitch along because I hate cutting and rejoining my yarn. So if I can avoid it at any cost, I do. But you can also cut and rejoin yarn if you'd like, rather than have those slip stitches across. And then you do a little short row here and then a little short row back this way, and it kind of works its way back and forth until it covers about half. So that's the half that's going to be on the back. Then once you finish those short rows, you're just going to start working back and forth around the whole circumference of your waist. And as you're doing that, there's going to be instructions on how to increase. So you'll do a little increase on the sides so that you're expanding out from your waist to your hips. After you finish the increases, you're going to join right around here, and then you're going to work back and forth in joined turned rounds. So even though you're working in the round, why do we turn them? because crochet stitches look a little different if you work them in the round or if you work them back and forth. So to keep the stitches looking the same for where you've had to work them back and forth to create this opening for the zipper, you're gonna keep working back and forth even though you're joining in the round so that the stitches look the same and you don't have like a clear cutoff where the texture just looks a little bit different. So you work back and forth for a little bit until you reach here. And then this is kind of similar to, let's say, a top-down sweater where you separate for body and sleeves. You're gonna separate for the legs here. So you're gonna work like about halfway across, I think it's the back. I think you start with the back, halfway across the back, and then you work some stitches, foundation stitches again, across the middle here, which becomes that space that goes like along your underside. And then you work the other half of the front. So you're essentially kind of cutting the body in half to work one of the legs. And then you'll start working one of the legs back and forth in joined turned rounds. And then you can decide which way you want to go from there to the wedding lace, which is what these are. This is the wedding lace pattern, or the sweet summer lace, or the ruffles. And I have samples of all of those, so I'll show them to you. You'll work one leg, then you'll work the other leg. Then after you work both legs, I work this drawstring, which is just a foundation single crochet and then going back through it with a slip stitch, so it's just a little bit more sturdy. And then I fold over those first rounds and do a slip stitch seam around the drawstring all the way around here so that it can pull tight. And then I also do a single crochet border along this area that's split. And what that does is it just creates this nice kind of clean edge for where you'll then, I pin with sewing pins in a little zipper and then just hand sew in this zipper. And what that allows for is just having it be nice and fitted around your waist and then expanding out through your hips. So that's how you make the pants. Now let's talk about how you do the different variations. So I've included instructions. I say crochet pants 3 ways, but it's kind of crochet pants 6 ways. And then at the end, I'm gonna show you how to do whatever you want. So crochet pants a bajillion ways. So you can make shorts or long pants. These are somewhere in between shorts and pants. And I had meant to make long pants with these, but I ran out of yarn, and because Curio was discontinued, I couldn't just go get more. So I was playing yarn chicken the whole way. I think I had about this much yarn left, so I made them as long as I could. Basically, you'll work back and forth and joined turned rounds until you're about 7.5 inches short of the length you want your pants to be, because then you'll start working the lace. This lace is about 7.5 inches. So you can make shorts. I actually have another pair that I couldn't find that I made in a red color. I'll show a picture here if I can figure out how to do that on my video editing stuff. Those, I basically started the lace. I think I did maybe 1 or 2 rows of the legs in joined turned rounds, and then I started the lace right away so that they're kind of longer shorts. These have quite a few more rows, as you can see. So yeah, you can make shorts or long pants, and then I've included both written instructions and a stitch chart for this lace pattern. If you make this lace pattern, this is the wedding lace, it can be really puckery at first when you first make it, but it'll block out. So just make sure you do a nice wet block with this. I originally made these pants to go with the wedding lace raglan, which has gone through testing but had some problems with the sleeve fit, so I'm adjusting the sleeves. I'm going to put out the wedding lace lounge set, which includes instructions for these pants and the matching top, probably soon. I'm just working on getting those final like stitch count checks for the alterations I made for bigger sleeves. And then that will be out and ready to go. But if you want to start on the pants, you can get this pants pattern and get a head start on that. So I have a matching raglan in this color that's long sleeved. I also have a matching raglan in this color. And I have to tell you, these pants, this is the first pair I made. So they're a little saggy in the crotch, unfortunately. And also now that I hold this up, you can see where I used a different dye lot. Ooh, luckily you can't really tell when I wear them. But I wear these pants all the time. I made them when it was a bit cooler out, and I wore them all through the winter, and now I'm wearing them all through the summer too, because they're cotton and nice and breathable. And I've truly never worn a crochet project so many times. They say you should wear something 40 times to get, you know, make it sustainable and make it worth having it in your closet. And I think I've probably worn these 40 times just since I finished making them a few months ago. So make it in a nice classic color like a white, and it goes with everything. So that's how you do the wedding lace section. You just work them. When you get to 7.5 inches before you want it to stop, you'll work the instructions for the lace pattern. That's it, pretty straightforward. I also made a version of these pants to go with this top. So this top is the Sweet Summer Lace Vest. And I originally designed this for Plyful, which is a great crochet platform that was started by Sandra at Nomad Stitches. And if you know Sandra, she's an incredible designer. Her platform is pretty fantastic too. She's invited a lot of really fantastic designers to design for Plyful, and it was such an honor to be asked to design for that platform. So this was the pattern that I created for Sandra. It has this lace that starts at the top in the back, and then it kind of just grows and cascades down. And I really, really loved this lace pattern, especially in this. This is We Crochet's Lindy Chain, which is a linen cotton blend. So if you see how lovely this drape is, oh, it's so pretty with this stitch pattern, and I really wanted to replicate this. So I made some pants to go with these. So these are the Sweet Summer Lace Pants. Instructions for this version are also included in the Crochet Pants 3 Ways. But this one, instead of working solid and joined turned rounds, there's instructions for how to start this lace pattern kind of on the outside of the pant here, and then it just grows similar to the way the vest did as you carry on down, and then it kind of has this uneven ending at the bottom just because of how the stitch pattern works. And you can keep going with this. These are I'd say more like capri length, but you can keep going and make these full length pants. Just make sure this isn't gonna trip you. But yeah, this is the Sweet Summer Lace version. In a longer version, I also made, when I gave instructions for the Sweet Summer Lace Vest, and if you watched my video instructional thing on Plyful, I gave instructions for how you can, I love releasing patterns where you can make it totally your own, and I like to give you tips on how you can do that. Use the pattern as a starting point, but alter it however you want. And so the Sweet Summer Lace Vest, you can have it as a little crop vest, you can have it as this longer vest that I showed you. And then I actually made a full-length dress in some nice black We Crochet Comfy, which is a cotton acrylic blend. I chose cotton acrylic because it's got a little bit less weight. Cotton can get really heavy. So to make a full-length dress, I didn't want it to get weighed down, especially with lace. So I made it in comfy fingering. And so of course I had to make some shorts to go with that long dress. I don't know if I'll ever wear them together, maybe I will. So now I've got this cute pair of black pants. As you can see, the lace kind of starts on the side there and carries down, and these are great. It's like a little flash of some lace on the side, which is really nice. And then these are kind of just longer shorts, which are pretty popular this summer, kind of like a Bermuda short length. And I wear these all the time with like band t-shirts and things like that. Wear them to concerts this summer. It's nice just to have a classic kind of short black pair of Bermuda shorts. So that's the Sweet Summer lace version. Now I really wanted to make, so long time ago I made, actually made like a peplum type top for our trip to France in 2024. And I really liked how the top turned out. So I made this other version that's more cropped with some fun ruffles. And yeah, so that's the tank with some fun ruffles. And so I wanted some bottoms to go with these. So the Crochet Pants 3 Ways pattern also includes instructions for making some ruffly shorts. So I made this pair of shorts with some ruffles, and it goes really nicely with these. This is also coming out later. This is the Ruffle Lounge Set. So it'll be instructions for the top and the shorts together. So if you don't care about any of the lace pants, you just want some ruffle shorts, wait a hot second, because testers are working on these right now. I think they're going to be done towards the end of, either end of August or middle of September. So we'll work on getting this pattern out. So if you just want the ruffles, hold on a sec, that pattern will be coming. But if you want the pants pattern that includes instructions for all these different variations, get the Crochet Pants 3 Ways pattern. That's out now. So I loved this kind of ruffle idea, and so I ended up making this pair. This is another pair that I made in a neutral color, a nice brown color. I wear these almost as much as my long white pair. It's just basic pants with a ruffle at the ends, and these are so fun to wear just with like a pair of boots or you know, another pair of like shoes that kind of draw your attention down to where this ruffle is. These are, yeah, I love this pair of pants. I wear these a lot. So this takes definitely the most yarn out of any of them, because this ruffle actually eats up yarn like you wouldn't believe. But if you have the yarn, these are super fun to make. If you have some fingering weight or size 3 cotton crochet thread in a large quantity, make yourself some ruffle pants. You won't regret it. You'll wear them all the time. Okay, now let's talk about some variations when it comes to making it fit you better in terms of sizing. So I had some testers work through these pants, and they gave me some great tips and feedback on alterations that they made to the patterns to help them fit them better. So I have written the sizes with, I think we're all kind of biased to crochet for things that fit our size, right? And I have quite large hips, a smaller waist, pretty wide hips, and a pretty round behind. So I include a lot of short rows for the pants that I wear that fit me. If you don't have as much surface area to cover across the back side of you, you could work fewer short rows. So take that into account. If you want to work a few fewer short rows, you can absolutely do that. And that'll just make it so there's less fabric across the back, which maybe that's what you need. The other thing, so for me, this drawstring at the waist and zipper system works really well. Why do I have both? The zipper, initially I had the zipper because I thought the zipper would be enough, but knowing what I know about fabric properties, cotton tends to stretch. And so when I put these pants on right after making them, yes, I can just do the zipper and they fit me great. They stay up, they're great. But as I wear them through the day, the cotton starts to stretch and then the pants start to fall down. So that's when the drawstring comes in handy. Now, if you, that works for me because my waist is smaller than my hips. But if your waist is the same size as your hips, or if your waist is larger than your hips, you might benefit from, instead of doing this zipper and drawstring, what some testers did was they just worked it all and joined it turned around so they didn't leave an opening for the zipper to go in. And then instead of a drawstring, they sewed in some elastic. So they sewed an encasing around elastic. So you can do that too. And then of course the length is totally variable. So I don't love super short shorts necessarily, though the ruffle shorts are kind of short. So you can try these on as you go because they're top down, and just make it as long as you want them, which is awesome. There's huge variability there. I have fuzz in my mouth, hold on. Okay. All right, so those are some variations in terms of how you can alter the pattern to better fit your body and your size. Oh, I will say these I recommend with 0 ease. And again, that's just because the cotton stretches. So when I put these on at the beginning of the day, they fit me like pretty skin tight. And then by the end of the day, they've loosened up a little. But I would recommend making them with about 0 ease. 0 to, I wouldn't go into negative ease. I'd say 0 to 2 inches of positive ease for waist and hips. Yeah. All right, now let's talk about some hacks. So I have showed you how to do crochet pants 3 ways and shorts 3 ways, but there's a lot of fun stuff you can do with this pattern if you just are willing to play with it. I start the top to the hips where the zipper goes, and I keep it all the same until there. Then I made this pair. This pair, I just followed the instructions, but I didn't want any lace, and I actually was planning on putting ruffles on these, but I ran out of yarn. This is the Katona. This is me trying out Katona. So since I didn't have enough yarn to do the ruffles, I put a little scalloped edge across the bottom here. So if you have a fun book of crochet edging, just make yourself some really basic shorts or pants or Bermuda short length if you want, and then put a fun edging on there. Yeah, so this is like, just whip out that crochet edging book, add them to your shorts or your pants, and it's gonna be really, really cute. So there's an idea for one way to put a variation into these. I also made this version of the pants. I made these for a few different, I made these for us to wear on our trip to Europe. I also made these to go with my curio coat. So if you are into the curio coat pattern, you can make some pants to go with the coat. It's the, I think same gauge, same yarn recommended, so you can make them match if you like. And for these, I wanted just some long, basic, loose shorts. I think my boss commented on them the other day and called them gauchos. So that if you want kind of like those baggy shorts. So what I did to make that happen for these, so these pants get, you know, a little looser and less fitted as they work their way down toward the bottom. I just kept going with the same increases at the side. So I recommend keeping like a stitch marker that marks these side places, and up here that helps you indicate where you're going to increase as you increase towards the hips. But I just kept going with those increases for the pants. And I think I increased every other row or every third row. So they didn't flare out a ton, but they do have kind of a looser flared look. I actually have some ideas to make some more pants to go with some of the curio coat variations. So there's the curio coat that has the blue stripe, the thicker stripes, but they separate in the middle. That's the next pair of pants I want to make. So luckily I nabbed up just enough of the curio crochet thread in those colors before they sold out. I wish that yarn was still here. But like I said, Scapious Katona, a zillion colors, super comparable yarn, same price point. You could probably get something that matches pretty closely. Okay, now I'm going to tell you about the ultimate hack because I'm actually super excited. This is a bit of a surprise. I sell patterns through crochet.com and the We Crochet brand. I actually used to work for them, so I have just a fondness for that company because I know the people that work there and I used to be in the office all the time. And so after I left working there full time, I did some design work for them and I made a collection of tank tops that have lace across the bottom. I think it's called the brunch, something about the brunch lace set. And pleasant surprise to learn that recently this tank top, the Mimosa tank, We Crochet has been heavily promoting this tank top because it's a great way to use up curio size 3 crochet thread, and for a hot minute that crochet thread was on sale for like I think 60% off or more. So I bet a ton of you probably bought this pattern to make with your really cheap curio crochet thread. If you have enough left over, I'm going to show you how you can make some shorts to go with them. So this is my summer project, is making shorts to go with all my favorite tank tops. So yeah, I made these crochet shorts that I didn't weave in the ends, of course. Note to self, do that before a video next time. Yeah, so these shorts have the same stitch pattern that's at the bottom of the Mimosa tank top. Now, how can you hack this pattern? I'll tell you the original pattern that I wrote for the Crochet Pants. Each of the legs is a multiple of 22 stitches, and the reason I did that is because the wedding lace stitch pattern that's included in the pattern is a multiple of 22 stitches. So each of the legs had to be a multiple of 22 stitches. This is a multiple of 24 stitches. So how did I get this to work with the pants pattern? And this is where you do a little bit of math. So you'll figure out half the stitches you have across the back, half the stitches you have across the front, or like what you have for the leg. And then you can be variable in the amount of stitches you add under here that goes right down the middle here. So I added, let's say if there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So there's six repeats of this stitch pattern, and this stitch pattern is a multiple of 24 stitches. So I think previously I had a repeat of 6 times 22 as the total stitch count around the leg. And so for this, I needed 6 times 24. So I just added more stitches when I separated for each leg across here to allow for this stitch pattern. Now the great news is if you've bought the that brunch set of tank tops, you can tell pretty easily the multiple of all those different lace patterns. So you could make a whole bunch of matching sets just with doing a little bit of math for this one part, this one tiny part. That's all that it takes to make a totally different set of pants. So you can go get the Ruffle, all the patterns from that all the patterns from that brunch lace set from We Crochet, and then get the Crochet Pants 3 ways pattern, and then just do a little bit of math when it comes to this part, and then you can make a bunch of matching shorts or pants if you like to go with your favorite top. So yeah, that's Crochet Pants 3 ways, but really a zillion ways. I think I've given you a lot of ideas on how to make it your own, make it fit you, make some variations so that it's exactly what you want, or so that it goes with your favorite crocheted top that you already have. And so to wrap up the video, I'm going to first talk about what I'm wearing. So you can't really see it, but I want to stand up. So you saw I made in that kind of dark teal color the Ruffle Lounge Set. This is the Ruffle Lounge Set in Lindy chain. So it's that same really lovely drape as the summer lace projects I showed you, but with the ruffle. And I just think the drape of the ruffle is so lovely, so lovely. And yeah, so another matching set. This Ruffle Lounge Set, like I said, is going to be coming out in the next couple of months. So if you only want the ruffles, you don't want to make any other kind of pants, ruffles only, wait a bit and the Ruffle Lounge Set will be out pretty soon. Okay, now let's talk about my works in progress. I have 2 works in progress here that I'm going to show you. One is this one. This is an asymmetrical cardigan with set-in sleeves. And if you've been following me on social media, you've maybe seen a version of this. Here are the set-in sleeves. I did a little cheat to make sure these set-in sleeves would work, and I think they're looking pretty good. This is for a really fun surprise, very big project that's going to be coming out in the next year or so. So stay tuned. A little preview ahead of time. So I'm working on that. I'm trying to really perfect the set-in sleeves for a bunch of different sizes. So this sweater is going to be a little oversized on me, but I've already made 2 of the smaller sizes. So now I'm making something that's a little bit bigger just to make sure that the shaping for that set-in sleeve, I actually really don't like set-in sleeves. Don't like them, but they look really nice on. So I'm just making a bunch of versions to make sure they do look really nice on. So surprise, this surprise is coming up later. And then less of a surprise. Ooh, there goes all the crochet projects. I'm making this, there's no pattern for this. I think most people can probably figure it out. I'm making a cute little granny stitch triangle bandana out of this really lovely silk lace mohair. I bought this at my local yarn store for local yarn store day, and then I have it in this cute little basket. I found this in my mom's basement. My mom is cleaning out her basement to do a giant remodel, and so I snagged this because it seemed like a great thing to hold your yarn while you're working. And I also have a ginormous bag of crochet projects that I made 15 to 20 years ago. Some of them have really poorly written patterns that go with them from when I was Sans Limite Crochet, before I really learned how to write patterns very well. Anyway, I might share a video of all of those projects later, and then you can tell me what patterns you might want me to update. That's it for now. Okay, I think I'm done blabbing about crochet pants, but you should make some crochet pants. I think you'd really like them. As you can tell, I wear mine all the time. Wearing mine right now. Try out the crochet pants pattern. 3 ways, but really a jillion ways. Okay, thanks. Bye.